Omori is a game that's been around for a while now. Like it or not, time is passing, and it's also a game that's meant a lot to me for a long time, ever since it first came out. I was a 14-year-old kid in lockdown, so the themes of being shut inside your house were extra prominent when it first released, and in playing it for the first time, it really resonated with me in a way that not a lot of games were able to do. It helped me make some friends and reconnect with old ones, and helped me to see, at the time, one main thing: you are not alone. I owe a lot to this game, and it's so embedded in my nostalgia and my mind that I'd be completely remiss if I didn't acknowledge that. And now, as an adult, I've been looking back again at the game that shaped my early teens, and yeah, it's a beautiful game about grief, guilt, anger, love, and growing up, and especially given the world when it came out, there's definitely a reason it became so popular in the way that it did. But in recent years, the popularity of the game really seems to have fallen short. I can't really speak on why that is. It could be anything from fatigue to irrelevance and more, but personally, I do have my issues with the game, which I have actually had ever since it first released. In this video, I want to give a retrospective on the game and offer my own problems I've had with it, so without further ado, here's a critique of Omori. For anyone who isn't familiar, Omori was a game released in 2020 by artist and developer Omori, which follows the protagonist Sunny, a shut-in teenager grappling with mental illness, who spends most of his time in an imaginary world in his head where he's a kid playing with his childhood best friends forever. The plot of the game is essentially that Sunny and his mom are getting ready to move away, and the player can decide what Sunny does with the time he has left. The game follows two main routes, the Hikikomori route and the real world route, dictated by a main decision where you can choose to go outside to say goodbye to your childhood friends in real life, or stay inside and spiral in your own mind. Personally, 14-year-old me played the Hikikomori route first, which honestly really made the rest of the game hit a lot harder when I played the real route afterwards. The real world route is considered the game's true route, but the Hikikomori route offers a lot too. There are multiple different endings depending on different decisions you can make in the game. One where Sunny takes his own life, where Sunny's best friend takes his own life. I'll get to him later. But the main ending is where Sunny uncovers the truth of why he is this way and opens up about the truth to his friends. Now, I don't really have much of a problem with the Hikikomori route at all. My main problems with the game come from the real world route, which is unfortunate given the fact it's the main one. And the main thing I want to talk about might be the most controversial, and it's the characters. Now, don't get me wrong, Omori has very likable characters. There's a reason this game resonates with so many people, and a lot of that comes down to its characters, but at least personally, I've always had a lot of issues with the way a lot of these characters are written. First off, to the game's credit, I really do like the way the characters are explored. The game doesn't shove things in your face, it doesn't have inappropriate exposition. The main way you learn about the people in this game is through show not tell and through environmental storytelling, and I really do appreciate that. They don't monologue very often, and when they do, it feels earned. So instead, how Sunny usually figures out how his friends are living now is through interacting with objects around their houses and kind of just inferring through past conversations what's going on, and I like that a lot. My issue is though, for as much as I like how these characters are explored, I genuinely think they aren't explored enough. The history of this game's development has been a rocky one. It was in development for so long that its supporters are starting to think they've been scammed, so it's kind of beyond me why the characters in Omori aren't particularly fleshed out beyond basics about their home lives and some vague personality traits. We don't even know their last names, we don't know much at all about how life has been for them since the incident, beyond basics and a couple anecdotes, which doubles pretty much being their main sources of extended characterization. They're supposed to be teenagers, and yet we don't really know anything about their school lives, and in general, a lot of finer details and nuance is kind of lost. Hero is the golden child who suffers from depression after his girlfriend died. Kel is his younger brother who acts cheerful and tries to be positive, but underneath feels quite inadequate. Basil is Basil, I'll get to him. These aren't bad character ideas by any means at all, they're actually fantastic, which is why so many people resonate with them, but although it sounds a bit harsh, it's honestly just kind of what they are, ideas. They feel shallow. I mean, this doesn't particularly apply to every character. From what I can see, Aubrey and Sunny seem to be Omokat's oldest characters, which makes sense given how they're a lot more developed than everyone else, but I still have my issues with them. They feel stale after a while. After a couple playthroughs, just like the other characters, they start to feel boring. Now, I want to make it very known, I don't think we need to know everything about these characters. We don't need to know a play-by-play of everything that's happened. We don't need to know why Aubrey's dad isn't present. We don't need to know Kel's school timetable. But there's a difference between subtlety and shallowness. In my personal opinion as a writer, you should know everything about your characters, and your audience should only know what you give them in narrative relevance. That's the way people work. You can't see inside their heads, but they have worlds within them, and the more time you spend with them, the more you can piece together and the closer you get to understanding them. A pretty good indicator of this is when you first meet a new character, they should feel a little confusing. You don't understand them yet, and they should feel unknown, which especially for Omori I feel would work to the game's benefit. As Aubrey puts it herself, 4 years is a long time. People change, and the town and the people in it is at least slightly foreign to Sunny now, and as you get to know them, the character should grow to be familiar, interesting, you should grow to emotionally attach to them over time, which increases the effect of the game's emotional payoff in the end. Omori's characters don't particularly feel written this way. It feels like what you see is what you get. A lot of the deeper characterization is that they're immediately set up one way and then it's revealed that they feel another later, but there isn't much growing to believe something about them and then being surprised. There aren't many hints that they feel differently. They feel like cartoons. They feel like drafts. Again, they feel like ideas. They aren't really multi-dimensional. They start off being one-dimensional and then something is revealed about them that makes them two-dimensional. But 2D is still 2D and a far cry from real life, and it gets old quickly. It's the reason artists like this are so popular in the fandom. They're developing the characters beyond how they were in the game, making them feel real. Now you might be wondering, I mean, why does this matter? It's a game, everything doesn't need to be hyper-realistic, but this is my problem. The game wants to set up a parallel between fantasy and reality. It's one of the core themes of the game, but this falls flat so easily when so many of its characters and plot are so shallowly written. One main example of this across a lot of Omori's story, a lot of things seem to happen for not a lot of reason, and you can kind of hear Omokat's voice in your head as you're asking why. I don't know, I just thought it was cool. A big example of this is really in my favorite character in the game, Omori. Hey, elephant in the room. Why the hell does she have a baseball bat covered in nails? Again, don't get me wrong, even this is kind of used to her credit when if you pay attention how she fights, she doesn't actually use it at all. She fights just for intimidation, she's got more depth and heart than it actually seems and all that, but again, why does she have a baseball bat covered in nails? Why does her gang act like this? She's 16 years old living in American suburbia. I mean, small town hooligans don't act like this, which is what they're supposed to be. They steal, break shit, graffiti walls, bully people, get drunk, smoke weed. They don't act like they're in West Side fucking Story. I mean, again, why does this matter? It's a video game, it's clearly just meant to be endearing and silly. But the game can't really have it both ways. When Omori is first introduced, a major part of showing how far gone Sunny is that the player has the option to use the knife to attack her in a fight just like he would in Headspace, but because this is the real world, that has real consequences, and Omori is shocked and genuinely hurt and it ends the fight instantly. It's supposed to wake the player up and establish that this is reality, and it's a super cool moment, but it's immediately undermined, as fans have pointed out since the game was released, that she can't be fucking shocked that Sunny has a knife which is carrying a whole nail-embedded bat for intimidation or otherwise. The emotional core of the story is damaged when you have all these serious grounded topics and you want us to take all of this seriously, but it's totally thrown off by random nonsense that would be way better reserved for Headspace, where it's meant to be a lighthearted contrast to the real world. The game is marketed as a psychological horror, but the only parts of the game which feel this way are the beginning before the real world is introduced, and the Hikikomori route, where there is no real world at all. The horror of Omori should lie with the unknown, with the fear of reality and the longing to stay in your own mind. And even if you grow your relationships with your friends and earn a feeling of familiarity and safety in them, that's something you need to earn and something that should feel grounded. The real world in Omori doesn't feel real, which I believe is majorly to its detriment. Which leads me perfectly into my biggest problem with Omori, the Basil problem. I'm almost scared to say this given how much of a fan favorite he is, but the fandom's almost dead, and I doubt this video will get much attention anyway, so hey, yeah. I don't like Basil at all. I think he's the weakest point in the game, which is a big problem because he's one of the main points of the game, and my issues with him tie into my issues with the entire climax of the game and the entire reveal plot twist, which I'll get to. First things first, I don't like his design at all. Honestly, it feels extremely weird to me, especially given Omokat's, hobbies. There's nothing technically wrong with it, I guess. I know feminine guys exist, I know malnourishment is the thing, but that's not really the issue, is it? I don't really know how to articulate it, but if you've seen the type of shit people like that make, you can just tell. He's drawn to look very young, very feminine, something just feels off, but that's not really the main thing. I can kind of look past it and give Omokat the benefit of the doubt, but how he's written is the biggest issue, and to explain that, I'm just gonna explain Omori's big plot twist. Again, if you somehow have not played this game in however long it's been out, Omori's twist ending is that Sunny accidentally killed his sister as a child, and Basil suggests and helps him frame the murder as a suicide. And yeah, the more you think about it, the more problems arise, and the internet has been talking about these issues for ages. For one, did nobody perform an autopsy? If they did, that implies that she was alive after being pushed on the stairs and Basil and Sunny accidentally hung her, alright. Childlike innocence, I guess, except the biggest problem with this is Basil's character. My biggest issue with Basil is, why the hell would he suggest hanging Mary? No child thinks like that, and there's absolutely zero exploration into his character that could possibly explain why the hell he would ever think of that. All we know is that his parents are absent, he's with a carer and his grandma who's dying, but unless I miss something absolutely major, there is absolutely zero indication of any of the absolutely severe childhood trauma which would need to happen in a child in order to get them to think like that. The game is also implied to take place in the late 90s and early 2000s, so this is before mainstream internet use, especially for children. How does Basil know how to tie a noose in a way that would frame the murder perfectly instead of obviously looking clumsily like a child did it, unless it was obvious, which is a theory I've heard, being that Sonny's parents figured out what happened and kept it undercover, which is why Sonny's father is absent, but that still explains nothing about Basil's involvement. His in-game interactions in the real world are not bad. He clearly suffers from severe PTSD and is honestly written very well, which is why so many fans like him. But when you examine the roots of why he is this way, it falls apart so severely. Basil's character feels like the epitome of Omori's problems with character writing. We are given no depth to him, and a lot of his characterization seems to come along because it seemed cool to Omogat, rather than it being particularly relevant or thought out. And in my opinion, this severely hurts the emotional resonance of the whole piece. If the main plot twist doesn't make any sense and leaves with more questions than answers, it breaks immersions, it hurts our attachment to the characters. That's Omori's problem. It sets up groundedness, contrasting with lightheartedness, and in its main, true routes, it fails to deliver on that. Despite it all though, although it might not totally sound like it, I love this game. It holds so many memories for me, and despite its flaws, despite the problems with its creator, the team that worked on it clearly had passion, and it shows. It's impossible to play this game and not feel at least something, and no matter what, part of me deep down will always be the 14-year-old stumbling across a Let's Play at a time where she felt lost and walking away like maybe everything will be okay. I'm not 14 anymore, and that kind of silly teenage optimism died with time, but I'll forever adore all kinds of indie projects, and I hope in part that this video inspires someone to go out and start theirs, and make it better than anything that came before it, make it theirs. That's all for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, and if you like, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.